Welcome to the Agent of Wealth podcast with Marc Bautis from Bautis Financial. In this podcast, Marc helps guide you towards financial freedom, ensure you never run out of money, and create a balance in life that prioritizes what is most important to you. Join us for this journey as Marc draws from years of expertise and guest experts to solve the multiple wealth building challenges involved in your financial life.
Welcome back to the Agent of Wealth. This is your host, Marc Bautis. On today's show, I'm joined by a special guest, Matt Raad. Matt has used a very unconventional method to create financial freedom in his lifetime, starting with nothing and building a high cash flow portfolio through buying and selling businesses. He and his wife, Liz, are website investors, which means they use digital assets to generate cash flow and build wealth. They were one of the first in the world to buy, build, and renovate websites, a strategy they now teach to beginners to reach 6- and 7-figure incomes. Matt is joining us today to share his insights into his journey as a successful entrepreneur and investor. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me on, Marc. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to this because it's definitely unique or definitely different. You hear people investing in all different kinds of things. You don't hear people investing in businesses through website. How did you discover that this could actually be a viable investment option?
Yeah, well, I guess it goes back to actually me being a kid. I grew up in rural Australia and never had much money. And one of my driving goals back then as a kid was to find a way to generate, I guess what you'd call these days, passive income. It's always been my dream, and I was always fascinated by business. So when Liz and I got together, we bought a business back when we were very young. We met at uni. As soon as we finished uni, we bought our first business and we were just hooked. From day one, we loved business and we made all the classic mistakes. We did due diligence incorrectly and all that sort of stuff. So what that meant was we went on this journey of trying to figure out what's the perfect business where we don't have to be working 9 to 5. So we did non-retail businesses. So we were buying manufacturing and wholesale import businesses. And we started buying and selling multiple businesses. We got really good at it. Fast forward to around 2008, which was the GFC, which I'm sure everyone in America remembers. It was very difficult times in America compared to here in Australia. But for us, we were starting a new family. And we'd already started to look at this thing called the internet. And we could see online businesses were a thing even back then. And Liz just said to me one day, why don't we do what we've always done with bricks and mortar businesses, but instead do it with internet businesses? And we don't have to buy physical inventory. The sorts of sites we were buying were quite unique, which we could cover in this interview. But literally, that's how it started. So we literally replicated our strategy of buying and selling bricks and mortar businesses, but we just shifted over to online businesses, and it worked phenomenally well. And for us, I think one of the big things that we love about online businesses is, as you can hear from my accent, we're in Australia. And so we started buying up businesses in America, these websites. We started buying not the businesses behind them, we were just buying the websites, and it worked phenomenally well because we had a 24/7 market. So we were used to exporting with bricks and mortar businesses, with our wholesale businesses. But this way, there was no physical barriers at all. We had a market 24/7 worldwide. Most of our market was in America. And so literally we wake up in the morning and there's money in the bank accounts, and we love that. And ever since then, we've been hooked. And that's basically our story in a nutshell.
So can you give me some examples of some of these? What types of, or what were the businesses selling, the online businesses, a service, a product, or what were they like?
No, so really good question. And that's the bit I think where people get confused. And anyone listening to your podcast, Marc, you're probably sitting there like most people because you've never thought of this concept of buying online businesses, right? And most people immediately think of, Amazon sites or selling e-commerce, selling, toys or whatever, or physical inventory or T-shirts and stuff like that. It was nothing like that whatsoever. What we figured out in the early days was we liken it to billboards. We saw that idea all those years ago. We read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like a lot of us did back in the late 90s. And it really impressed on us. We wanted to get businesses that you didn't have to work in 9 till 5 and that were passive. And back then, you'd look at, you could buy billboards and rent them out. and they sit on the side of a road, and basically you get the rent, and advertisers put ads on them. Well, that's exactly what we do with websites, except now it's all virtual. So what we figured out was, and we saw people doing this, was you could buy what's called a content site. So it's based around a topic. So say it might be around fix up your finances or become wealthy, say in your industry. But instead of offering a service through that, all we do is we create really good content. People come to the website and they see an ad, which is like your online billboard. And when they click on it, we get paid off Google or we get paid off the advertiser. So we either get advertisers on there, or typically you just use Google because it's quite easy and it's all automated. So all our job is to create that traffic. It's like you've just got to place that billboard in the right place. And so all we do is buy up these sites that have lots of traffic. And traffic, I mean people each month coming to the website to read your content. And that's worked phenomenally well, because what it means is we're like a little online media company, our own media company. So we have these websites, and what it means is we can go into really weird and wonderful niches. The good thing with the internet, because you're reaching the whole world and it's working 24/7, you only need like a micro fraction of a certain niche to make a lot of money, because you can go into, like we go into lots of passion niches like gardening, how to play golf, how to play guitars, how to, all the beginner type stuff, where people are desperately looking for information, or how to get richer, or how to lose weight, or how to be happy. Any of those sorts of classic, I guess you'd almost call them cliched topics that people are online looking up answers for. If we can provide answers for them and good content, then when they're there, hopefully they click on an ad and we make money. And that's literally it. So on the fulfillment side, it's totally automated. There is nothing else we have to do. We don't have to talk to a single customer. We don't have to ship any physical inventory. There's none of that whatsoever. So for us, compared to bricks and mortar business, they're very low risk. In essence, that's how it works, and that's why we love them.
When you're buying one of these websites or these companies, do you have to ensure that once you take it over, are you creating the content, or are you still like partnering with the person that was there previously? How do you keep the content flow going?
Yeah, great question. And I think if anyone listening to this, that's a really good question that Mark's just asked. That's probably the number one skill you need to, the number two skill that you need to learn is exactly what you just said, Mark. When you take over the site, you take over the content production. That at first sounds scary, because I wasn't particularly good writer or good at English at school. I actually failed English at school. But what we quickly learned online, and I'm sure you've heard of this, we hire virtual staff everywhere. That's the other beauty for us. We don't need physical staff here in Australia or anything like that. All our staff are scattered all around the world. So we just hire writers. And it's really, really easy these days. We go to websites like Upwork or Fiverr, and you can find industry experts. Even in finance, Mark, you can find expert writers who are sometimes ex-journalists, and you can find them on these platforms. So you can hire them at a really good rate to write on a per article basis, and you just keep the content going on the website. So that's one of the skill sets that you do need to learn how to do, not how to write, but how to outsource and create keep the momentum going of the website. And that's how we renovate them as well. What our real secret sauce is that I mentioned at the beginning, based on our very first big mistake that we made in business all those years ago, was due diligence. Okay, we did not get that right. We didn't know what we were doing. We'd never been in business before. And so we're really passionate about it these days. This is how we've made so much money online, is getting really good at due diligence. So that's the main other skill is, so what you said, keeping that content going, but first and foremost is getting good due diligence to understand the good websites to buy.
So how does it work in terms of due diligence? So you're actually constantly proactively looking at sites, or is there like a marketplace of people, that site owners that are interested in selling? And then I guess once something passes your due diligence, you would approach them and make an offer.
Yep. So it's just like traditional bricks and mortar businesses now. There's heaps of brokers out there. There's like Flipper, Empire Flippers, Quiet Light. They're all based in America. They're in big brokerage firms now. They do deals anywhere from $5,000 up into tens of millions, now into the hundreds of millions. This is a big marketplace now, because these are recognized as real businesses these days.
Is there like a monthly minimum traffic that a site would need to even be considered purchasable?
Yes and no. If you're listening to this, you want to start this out, it doesn't matter. You buy a really small site, say under $5,000, so you can learn how to do it. And there's no risk then. So that site is going to be far from perfect. It probably won't have much traffic. Once you get going with this, really what it comes down to, there's two metrics that we look at. It's profit and traffic. It's not just the traffic, but it's also the profit, not sales, it's the actual profit that we want to look at. And we buy sites based on a multiplier. So really those two factors are very closely aligned, like they influence each other a lot. So in terms of, is there a minimum traffic amount? The answer depends on your budget, like what you're looking to invest. And what we suggest to people is start out small, like on a little tiny site, and then build up your skill set. Buy a couple of websites, learn how it all works, proof of concept type idea. And then, you might go to a $10,000 website or a $50,000 website. And then depends on your budget, you might go to six-figure websites. So in terms of, is there minimum traffic? Not really. It's more just what is your budget or what's your investable bank? What are you prepared to? Because these are alternative investments. Like any investment, there's a risk. And so it's more comes down to your risk profile, but also your knowledge profile as well. You wouldn't run out there and buy a six-figure website without learning a few things first.
So let's say after you buy the site, what's the amount of time requirement that's in there? Like kind of initially, I'm sure there's a lot, but is there ever a way to kind of get this thing to be running on its own? Can this scale over time?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the big attractions to us. So most of our team is outsourced. So we don't work on our sites 9 to 5 at all, nor do most of our clients. So it's a really big attraction to websites as alternative investments. We liken it to, I guess, real estate. So we buy, renovate and sell, or buy, renovate, hold for the cash flows. And what we do is we build up a team to help us renovate these websites. So, and typically that team would just be, I can give an example. We have a stay-at-home mum, Lisa. She bought a website for $2,000. And to give an idea, this was an affiliate site. So she made money off the Amazon affiliate program. And it's based in America. And she basically just has 2 writers working on that website with her, plus an editor, and then plus her. And she does the keyword research. Now, she's been working on that for quite a few years. But over the time, in about 3 years, it went to $5,000 a month profit. Then it went to like $15,000 a month, and she's had $30,000 months. That website now is worth $1 million based on $30,000 a month. But in terms of running that site, it's no different now than what it was 2 years ago or a year ago. These are very leveraged because it's just a consistency of tidying up articles, putting on some new content, and that's outsourced. And now what she's doing is she's got a couple of other sites that she works on as well. So you don't have to work on these 9 till 5. And what we actually teach is we build a lot of people like us who do this, and including a lot of our clients. The goal is to build up a portfolio of websites, just like a portfolio of shares and a portfolio of real estate. And so there comes a point where it gets too much to manage and you are doing it full time, but you can easily handle 1 to 3 websites part-time whilst you're either running your own business or you're doing working a corporate role. We have a lot of clients who are in full-on corporate roles, just like your clients, Mark. And this is the perfect side hustle to build up part-time. I guess this is one step above real estate in terms of what you've got to do. And the main jobs that we do as owners is what's called keyword research. Other than that, there's not a lot else to do on the websites.
Are most of the sites that you're buying, are they from the original content creator, or is it go through iterations where you're buying them from other people like you?
Really smart question. Both. It's actually both. That's a good question. So there are a lot of people now doing this website flip. Well, when I say a lot, compared to when we started, there are people that do this professionally. And typically what happens is, yes, they build up sites, and as they're building their portfolio, so we've got stories on our website. You can see them where, professional flippers will start with a $20,000 website and, like Lisa, work up and they flip up. And so they'll build it up. They might sell it for a couple of $100,000 and then they roll that into another deal and then they keep building up their bank that way. And that's called website flipping. And that can be very successful. And typically those people, yes, they're building them up and they sell them off. So when you go onto websites like Flipper to buy websites, what you'll see is people who are professionals at this will sell multiple websites that have been fixed up, but they can be really good sites because what happens is those people are typically moving on to bigger deals. So they're legitimately built websites. And that's normally what happens as people as their portfolios get bigger. It does take up time and energy to work on a multi-million-dollar website. So they will sell off their smaller websites, and that's what we've done over the years. You're always selling off your smaller ones, and that can work really well. But also, our best buys are ones that we like these days because the internet is getting so big now. Is the first category that you said, those legitimate sites that are still like first owner type sites, especially in passion niches, because they're typically someone that's been slogging away at a website for 5 years, never made any money, but it's their personal passions. And then we come along and buy them and we know how to renovate them and make money online, and we can really renovate them and maximize how much money.
And how does it work with the actual getting paid for this? Like you mentioned like affiliate, but I'm sure there's regular ads are on there. Once they purchase a site, how do they kind of integrate it into some kind of profit or income generating?
What's great about being on the internet is everything's tracked these days. Every single click, doesn't matter what the website is. So there's lots and lots of affiliate programs out there now. The easiest and best affiliate program that we recommend beginners start with, there's way better, higher paying ones, but the most effective one that we've seen for our beginner students is the Amazon affiliate program. You can just Google it and go and have a look at it. And basically what Amazon, it's free to sign up for an affiliate link with them. And basically if you send traffic over to Amazon, that person is cookied for 24 hours. So if they buy anything on Amazon, and of course, Amazon is the world's best-selling machine, right? When you're there, they recommend you everything. So if that person buys anything at all, you get a percentage of the sale without having to stock the physical inventory in a warehouse. You don't have to be that person. All you have to do is get traffic over to Amazon. And it's the same with the Google Ads program. You can sign up to the Google Ads program for free, as long as you've got a website that's half decent and got a bit of traffic. It needs a couple of thousand visitors a month. But once you sign up, they literally, just like Amazon, they give you a tracking code. It's just a bit of code off Google, and you just copy that into the website on the pages where you're talking about the product or where you want to put the ads. And then everything else is handled by these big companies. And then it gets more sophisticated. There's lots of other affiliate programs that you can work with, or you can lease out website space.
Right.
That's becoming a lot more popular now as well. So they're kind of the three ways that we monetize the sites.
Any other trends you see in the industry?
The main trend is AI and working with AI and using it as a tool that can help us and speed things up. And one of the things that AI has dramatically improved for us, particularly if you're a beginner, is it's helped us actually overcome the two big barriers, which is the initial writing of articles. You can use AI to draft up an article, so your thoughts. So if you're someone like me that doesn't normally write, but I've got an expert writer on my team, I can use AI to draft up an outline of an article very quickly in 30 seconds or a couple of, well, realistically, let's say 5 minutes. And then I can send that to my writer and say, I want something like that. I want you to create, but humanize it and do your own research and verify everything within that article. So that's really exciting. And the other trend it's really helpful for us with AI, and this is the biggest winner for us, is AI does help us do what's called keyword research, like researching these niches. So we can easily go into niches that we know nothing about. Don't have to be an expert at all. We've always been able to do that, but now I'm a lot more confident. It's a lot easier to do the keyword research there. So I think AI is a big game changer for us. It's a very powerful tool for those of us that use it correctly. And I think the dust has still got to settle around AI, but I think it's going to open up a lot of opportunities as well. And then, I think the biggest trend that I'm seeing is in this day and age, and I think your listeners, anyone that's an investor will understand this, this is an investment class that you need to be paying attention to. Now, I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just answering your question about, what are the trends? I think you can't ignore now this is a very powerful alternative investment. So traditionally, people around the world having to generate wealth, to give them that leverage from time, if they've used real estate. It's really, really big here in Australia, and I know it's big in America. For Liz and I, we've used businesses. We've always bought and sold businesses. We've done a bit of real estate. So you've got these asset classes of either buying and selling businesses to get leverage, real estate, or shares and bonds, and now a bit of crypto as well. The big trend I'm seeing now is there's a lot of very smart people suddenly twigging on to what we all do, which is also in website investments, because we've got this big problem coming up, a potential recession, high inflation, even deflation. Websites, when you think about it, there's such high profit margins. It doesn't matter if it's inflation, deflation, they're just cash cow machines and they're assets. What's more important though, it's not like the old days where websites were kind of a bit ephemeral, they're kind of virtual. Now they're real assets. We've got websites selling for millions of dollars. We've got clients that are selling websites for millions and millions of dollars. Creating, this is like the new online real estate. So I think that's the biggest thing. Now, it's not a walk in the park. It's not a get rich quick thing or anything like that. These are real businesses, but I think that's the biggest trend that we've seen coming from our background of M&A, mergers and acquisitions. We're now seeing the big players seriously looking at this asset class and investing serious sums of money.
Yeah. Well, that's some great info. We're just about out of time. Matt, I want to thank you for being on the show today, providing your unique expertise on how someone can buy and create passive income from buying websites. Where should my listeners go to learn more about what you do and how to get in contact with you?
Awesome. Yeah. So, they can just Google my name, Matt Raad, R-A-A-D. Or they can go to our official website where we teach people what we do, and you can look at all the stories of our clients and how our strategies work. And so you could visit ebusinessinstitute.com.au. I know it's a mouthful, so you might have to Google that, but ebusinessinstitute.com.au.
No, well, perfect. We'll link to all that in the show notes. Thanks again, Matt, and thank you to everyone who tuned in to today's episode. Don't forget to follow the Agent of Wealth on the platform you listen from and leave us a review of the show. We're currently accepting new clients, and if you'd like to schedule a one-on-one consultation with our advisors, please do so at bautisfinancial.com/call.
Thank you for listening to the Agent of Wealth podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered represents the views and opinions of the guests and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Bautis Financial. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial planning and investment advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investments and financial planning.